Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. I'm Reverend Dr. Darrell Watkins, the Senior Minister here at Sunshine Cathedral.
I am Reverend Dr. Robert Griffin, the Executive Minister. Faith and religion can be complicated for the LGBTQ+ community. Surveys show that evangelical faith is the justification for the greatest attacks on the LGBTQ+ community.
I am Reverend Kevin Tisdall, the Minister of Education. The Queer God Squad is going to explore our religious community. Let's explore the big news of the day and what it means to you.
I am Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell, the Minister of Connections. This is live, and then we are available on demand. We are available on all smart televisions and your favorite social media.
Surveys showed that religious faith and church are the main causes of trauma in the LGBTQ+ community. At Sunshine Cathedral, we're here to tell you that you are God's miracle, not God's mistake. This is the Sunshine Cathedral Perspective. Coptic Orthodox and Catholic leaders affirm stance on marriage amidst same-sex debate. Recently, Pope Tawadros II, head of the Coptic Orthodox Church, welcomed Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernández, Prefect of the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith, in Cairo. Their discussion centered on the Vatican Declaration of Fiducia supplicans and the Coptic Holy Synod's March 7th statement on same-sex marriage. Cardinal Fernández conveyed greetings from Pope Francis and reflected on their past meetings. In March, the Coptic Synod issued a statement reaffirming its rejection of so-called same-sex marriage, end quote. The so-called, that's how they said it, so-called same-sex marriage. Cardinal Fernández reiterated that both Fiducia supplicans and the subsequent declaration, Dignitas infinita, affirm that marriage is solely the union between a man and a woman open to the transmission of life, confirming the Catholic Church's opposition to same-sex marriage. The prefect of the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith explained to His Holiness Tawadros II that the Catholic Church aligns with the teachings of the March 7th Declaration and views its pastoral approach positively. Regarding Fiducia supplicans, Fernández clarified that as Pope Francis informed the DDF Plenary Assembly, these blessings are not meant for unions between individuals. If two people seek a blessing together, they can receive it with a sign of the cross and a short prayer. However, this must occur briefly and spontaneously without any formal rite, liturgical vestments, or outward signs that might be mistaken for a marriage ceremony. During the visit, Cardinal Fernández also met with other patriarchs and bishops, Catholic, Orthodox, and Protestant, to discuss various matters related to the dicastery. You may have thought that I was speaking in tongues for a while.
Hello.
Because there were a lot of words that just don't come up in common conversation, and I think that's an issue. Yeah. That there's a lot of insider language and a lot of language for people in a hierarchy, for people who have a lot of education in this one particular field. I just don't think you should have to have a PhD in theology to understand faith or to be a practitioner of faith. And so that the words are not welcoming, that the words are not something that are really accessible to just any and everybody, I think that's problematic. That shows you that this is a lot of power keeping, a lot of gatekeeping, a lot of tradition keeping, a lot of protecting the institution. And you're entitled to that, but please don't make this be about protecting the dignity of marriage or anybody's souls or any of that. That all of this bizarre language to describe your world, that is your world. That is a very closed world. It's not open to the rest of us. And so forgive us if we don't pay much attention to it, because it wasn't welcoming of us. It wasn't for us, really, was it? And not only is the language complex, but the concepts are complicated. Why is everything so complicated in these churches? Why is everything so difficult? Why is it always about who to be against and what to be against and how you have to do all of these things? I just don't think Jesus was that complicated. First of all, he was trying to simplify the religion he inherited, not create a new religion that was more complex than any of the others. And so Jesus, who says, "Come to me all," Jesus who says, "My burden is easy and my load is light," that is not what is reflected in these ancient institutions. In fact, the Pope is the head of state of the Vatican. The Pope is the Pope is a king or a president or whatever you want to call it. But the Pope runs a country. It's a tiny country, but it has friends all over the world. So it's a tiny country with global influence. He's a head of state. Nothing could be more different than what Jesus was about. In fact, Jesus was crucified for talking about an imaginary kingdom where God was the ruler and everybody mattered and everybody had equal footing and everybody was loved and no one was left out. And this imaginary metaphysical kingdom where there was actually no king got him killed because it was, whereas the church now looks more like the empire that killed him than the ideal he was dreaming about that got him killed. And so, yeah, these kings and kingmakers that are trying to use language that's not accessible to most of us to tell us how it's wrong for two people to be in love and to share their commitment and commit to each other publicly and with a blessing if they happen to share the same gender identity. It's once again, it is the worship of the past. It is the worship of prejudice. It's the worship of fear. It's the worship of power. And more people are saying, I can live without it. We need spiritual communities that will allow you to ask your questions and explore your path and discover who you are and celebrate who you are, more than we need religious traditions and dogmas and creeds that tell you who's in and who's out and what's wrong with everybody and who's a prefect and what's a dicastery and who gets to wear the hat and who gets to wear the dress and who gets to wear the ruby slippers. And it's just become, and I'm not saying that there wasn't a time when that wasn't useful maybe. I kind of am saying it, but I'll know that some people don't think that. It's fine. And from these great institutions have come a lot of art and music and architecture that have certainly enriched the world. And yay. But those days are mostly over. And now what we need is personal empowerment. We need liberation. We need healing. And this kind of madness is not what provides it.
I am still stuck on how this blessing is supposed to be done.
That
right there. It's supposed to be spontaneously. Oh, the priest can't be in any clothes.
Religious clothes.
Religious clothes, and it's just almost like, oh, we're just walking down the street and we decide to do this. Can we get it spontaneously blessed? It's like, please, with the rules and regulations and all these names that you need a dictionary to look up and a picture next to them to figure. To me, that is not bringing the presence of God to the people when you have to have it cloaked behind so many of these different things about how you can access it, who can access it, where you can access it. Let's just keep it real and, just bring it all together to say, God is love, love is God, and we're all a part of the love of God.
I'm learning some interesting language. I don't think that I ever realized that there was more than one pope at a time.
Oh yeah.
Roman
Catholic has true.
That surprised me that the language was the same. Just like you, Robert, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to how a relationship is supposed to be acknowledged. And it's not really being acknowledged. It really is kind of a drive-by, bless you. And don't be wearing a collar and don't be wearing that pointed hat and don't say the wrong thing.
And it's not a couple, it's two individuals.
It's two individuals. I'm over here and my husband Michael is over there, but we just happen to be in the same room, so somehow or another we're being blessed by the presence of someone who has a beautiful ring that we're supposed to kiss.
And the Coptic Pope is saying, and that's way too far.
Yeah.
You've gone way too far.
That's the fun part.
Yeah.
So my friends, just stop it. Please, just stop.
Win it already.
Oh, these people got together in order to figure out how we can keep people away from us.
Yeah.
How we can, keep our own language, our own power, our own privilege. And we might bless you if one of you's over here and one of you's over there and we're wearing the proper clothing, which is, no religious garb. But that's the only way.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make sense, plain and simple, to me.
It's demoralizing.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it would be for me. Some people are celebrating. They're, oh, yay, look, we're getting some crumbs.
People are asking,
comes from what I leave on my website.
Yeah.
why is religion in decline? Gee, I can't figure that out. There's so many rules and regulations that don't allow us to be ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've said at this table before. The church is at the point where it's, oh, look at where the people are. Let me catch up with them so that I can lead them. It ain't working. Let go.
Yep.
Let God.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and I've said this before. It's the hypocrisy that bothers me. I don't care that a former president had 3 wives and cheated on all of them. I mean, I feel bad for the wives. Right. I mean, I don't want people ever to be hurt or whatever. But like, I'm not his conscience or whatever. I don't care that Reagan had a divorce. Used to, that was a deal breaker.
Yeah.
We've now had 2 Catholic presidents. The first one was a big deal. It's like, oh, you did. So I don't care that you're Catholic or atheist or Muslim. I don't care that you've been married 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I don't care about that. But I do care that you represent people who act like they care, who are making my life miserable. While you are living a life that you would seem to say that your party or your church or your group condemns.
Right.
So that it's the hypocrisy that is so troubling. And so for people to take a vow of celibacy, it's not to say that I am by nature celibate, or that I by circumstances have wound up celibate. No, that I have, in the name of God, make a big deal to choose to be celibate. That is an alternative lifestyle. That is a queer lifestyle. And then for people who have taken this unusual route of promising celibacy to a God who never asked for it, but then to condemn other people's sexual choices, it's the hypocrisy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the hypocrisy that I just can't stand. I don't care that you're celibate. I don't care that you have 6 wives. I would prefer if the 6 wives also had the option of having 6 husbands.
Yeah.
I mean, fair is fair, but I don't care about any of that. But I do care that you pretend to care about other people's business. We had someone in this church one time when I did a blessing for an alternative family, and they were the first to make a big deal about it when they had the most alternative family in the history of the world. I mean, the way they had had their children or whatever with relative, it was a very complex, in a way beautiful, but also less beautiful when you're the ones condemning other people's choices.
Yeah.
And so that's what I hate about it so much, is that you've got all the answers for other people and you feel like you're empowered to enforce those. Meanwhile, you're living in a dress but opposing transgender. You're living a life of chosen celibacy but opposing alternative lifestyles. I can't stand it. It's the hypocrisy. And I think it's the hypocrisy that's driving people away in droves.
Oh, I think
Sure.
so. Yeah.
Nobody cares if you worship a rock on the moon. But when you use that as a way to torment or exclude or hurt or vilify or demonize or dehumanize people, suddenly that is so not okay with people all at once. And so that's the problem, is that you weaponize your religion against people, and at the same time are demonstrably hypocritical about these so-called values.
Amen.
All right.
That's it.
Well, that's today. On the Queer God Squad, we want to thank you for joining us. We're here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ plus community is talking about.
Sunshine Cathedral is the world's largest progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together, and we are all in this together. Remember that.
You are God's miracle, not God's mistake.
Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.